So look at page 57 with me. There's this enormous table.
Whoa.
And I'm actually going to draw a part of it so that I can refer to it in a second. But first, let's just look at it, okay? What is this thing? Over the top, all the rows, you can see it says interest rate per period, right? And then across the left-hand side, it says periods, which may well be like years or months or something like that, okay? And what does it mean? Look up for a second. See this process that we did. To build these numbers, it took us a while, didn't it? Like, we had to do this working, then we had to get the calculators out, and you got to do it many times and so on, and it's quite a time-consuming process, right? These tables are designed to speed up that process, right? Make it a lot simpler, and you can crunch numbers out much more quickly, okay? So here's the way it works. We looked at $1,000, okay, $1,000. What we want to think is, okay, example, $1,000, and then we went up to 6 years. We went up to 6 years, okay? So $1,000, 6% interest, 6 years. Okay. Now here's the way that you read this table, right? You say, what's the interest rate per period, per year? Well, you read across. You've got columns for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%. So the column we're after is 6%. Okay, 6%. Can you see that, right? So I'm actually going to draw the 6% column just so I can refer to it. Okay. So you got 6% at the top of the column, and then you've got a bunch of numbers underneath, some decimals, okay? I'm going to write some of them. You've got 1.060, 1.124, 1.2. Okay, and it keeps going, right? Now, these rows are also labeled on the left-hand side of the table. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And the way it works is, rather than go through all of these calculations, they say, if you just want to work out an amount of interest for an amount of time, okay, all you have to do is go to the appropriate cell in the table and take your amount and just multiply by that number. So, example, if we wanted to know what it was after 6 years, you'd go 1,000, right, times, and then you just go to, 6% is this column, and 6 years is this row. So you just go 1.419. Okay. So what's that? Well, you just move the decimal place 3 times. That's 1419. Okay. Now, hold on a second. We worked this out before. We actually did it with our calculators and went through the whole thing. This is the number we calculated. Something's wrong. What's wrong?
It's 50 cents off.
It is 50 cents off, 48 cents. What they've done is they have rounded. Okay, now I'll tell you why they've rounded. Have a look at these numbers. In fact, all of them should be familiar. Every single one, because they all correspond to, can you see? They correspond to these numbers that we calculated. But we calculated it to the nearest cent, right? Okay, but these are just calculated to the nearest 4 significant figures. Right? We've looked at significant figures before, right? Can you see every single one? 4 digits, 4 digits, 4 digits, and so on, right? How many significant figures did we calculate?
1. Oh, 1.
I count, for example, this last row, right? I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all significant. None of them are approximated. We didn't round off until the very last one, right? So, what you're doing here, right, these numbers match those in an approximate way, okay? So it's faster, but it's not as accurate. That's kind of the trade-off, right? In fact, that's usually the way it is with calculations. You can do them quicker, but you have a margin of error, okay? So that's how you can use this table to do the same calculation, but quicker. Turn over the page. Exercise 2D. This is the last one in investing. Now, it'll actually help you if you've got a, if you're next to someone and you can have 2 textbooks there. The reason why is because you sort of need to have this page as well as this page like at the same time, so it's a bit of a pain flicking back and forth. So if you want to in a second move and have a second textbook, that might be useful to you. But let's have a look at the very first question. Find the compound interest earned on an investment. Oh, I need to leave that there. They've got this example, $12,000, 7% per annum, 5 years. Okay. So now look at the table. Look at the table. These two numbers over here, 7% and 5 years, they tell you where to look. Okay, so 5% tells you the column, right? So you track across until you find 5 years. 5%, sorry. Okay. And then it says, oh, I keep reading wrong. I'm switching numbers. 7%. So you're going all the way over. Okay. And then you go down to 5 years. So you got to pick a row and a column. It looks to me like 7%, 5 years. That number is, can you see it? 1.403. 1.403. That's the number that corresponds to 7% 5 years. Okay. So now all you need to do to work out the final amount is take your 12,000 and multiply by that magic number, and it'll do it. Okay. So you get your calculator out. You put your right foot in. You shake it all back, and you get.
You got
16836.
Yeah.
Is that right? And 0 cents. Now, again, be careful, right? Because they have rounded, this is not going to be exactly right. If we went through this process, we would get it more precise. We wouldn't have to round off to a nearest dollar or something like that. Okay? But this is what they've given us, and it's going to be pretty close. Okay? Just for the sake of it, I'm going to work it out. Like I'm going to use the real formula, right? It would be this: 12,000 times 1.07 to the power of 5, 16830 and 62 cents. Okay. So their approximation was a little bit generous, wasn't it? We actually don't get quite that amount. We're a few dollars off, but we're in the right ballpark, aren't we? It's pretty close.